Dan Lucky Way.
Hey everyone, it is Friday, January 14th. The time is just after 12 p.m. and the temperature is around -7 degrees Celsius. And that would be -14 with the wind chill. And this here is Queens Quay West. And that was the 509 Harbourfront streetcar I just got off. And just to the south is Lake Ontario. And for this one, I'll be walking west a block over to Bathurst Street. And then I'm going to head north up Bathurst Street along the western border of downtown all the way up to Bathurst Station. And from here at Queens Quay up to Bloor Street West should be a little over 3 kilometers or so. There's the Harbourfront Community Center. So straight ahead here is where Bathurst ends to the south. Although it goes by another name that's rather difficult to pronounce just south of Queens Quay, and that'll take you down to the Billy Bishop Island Airport. And that park over there on the southwest corner is Little Norway Park. And now it's north up the east side of Bathurst. And I think this is the old Channel 47 headquarters, back when it was Channel 47 Cable 4. And that would have been back in the 90s at some point. And I remember there used to be a big satellite dish on the roof. And there seems to be a redevelopment proposal for this plot. I want to squeeze a couple of buildings behind it at 12 and 22 stories. And this here is Lakeshore Boulevard West. Loblaws that opened up recently. And that was originally a Loblaws warehouse back in the 20s. And there's a look to the east. And those towers in the foreground there would be part of City Place, with the CN Tower looming behind them. And I think Loblaws did a pretty good job preserving the facade of this building. And coming up, this will be the Gardner Expressway I'll be walking under. And I'll be crossing over the rail corridor. And although it's -7 right now, it's expected to drop to -20 at some point later today. Or I think that's more likely to happen overnight. But after a few relatively warm days in comparison, I think it's going to be a cold snap for the next few days. And here's Fort York Boulevard. And Fort York itself is just over there on the left. And the Bentway lies just beyond that. That's an underground public space underneath the Gardner Expressway. And there's a look east through the City Place neighborhood. We had a freezing cold day on Tuesday, and I live streamed this way on Fort York Boulevard. And that was at twilight. The CN Tower was all lit up. And Bathurst Street is served by the 511 Bathurst streetcar. And that starts at the Exhibition Loop. And it runs north up to Bathurst Station. Then north of Bathurst Station, you need to take a bus. I think it's the 7 bus. There's a look into Fort York. to look towards the financial district, which is now mostly blocked by those new buildings going in straight ahead. And here is Front Street West. And this would be the western terminus of Front Street. And I remember growing up, there used to be an exotic car dealership right on the corner here. And I'd always look out the window of my mom's car whenever we drove by. You could always catch a glimpse of some Lamborghinis and that sort of thing. And now it's a Farm Boy. And across the street we have Stacked Market. That was built as a temporary container market. And eventually the plans are to turn that land into a park. That was also supposed to be something of an event space. And I think the pandemic put a sour on that. Check your grammar, Johnny. Although it does feel like minus 14, I'll give myself a free pass. And this here is Niagara Street. And Niagara Street goes west a few blocks, and then it turns north. So to the right, I'll be walking by the entertainment district, and then the fashion district, and then Alexandra Park, and then Kensington Market, and then it'll be through Harbour Village and up to Bathurst Street. And the neighborhood on the left is just commonly referred to as King West. And there's a teppanyaki grill. Those places are a lot of fun. I've never been to that one. And of course, they won't be able to reopen for indoor dining until the current restrictions are lifted. And over there is a place that bills itself as Toronto's oldest bar, and that is the Wheat Chief. And that's been there since 1849. And it did close for a period of 9 months, only to reopen last year. And we're at King Street West. And coming up is Adelaide Street. That's a one-way street that runs east. And there's St. Mary's. And there's the old Factory Theatre. And that's been there since 1869. It's been known for producing several famous Canadian plays, of which I could name none. And it's rather cold, but at least it's not bleak. We've got a nice blue sky for the backdrop today. And way off in the distance there is the financial district.
Back to music or not?
And Bathurst Street has an interesting mix of old homes and different businesses. And coming up is Richmond Street. I'm trying to recall where Reg Hart's Cineforum is. Seeing all these houses boarded up is making me wonder if it's still there. Seems as if that FedEx truck is causing a ruckus. And here's a CB2 on the right as we approach Queen Street West. And to the left of here is the trendy West Queen West neighborhood. And there's the look along Queen Street West facing east. So to the right is the Alexandra Park neighborhood. There's a unique looking condo. All right, I think the Cineforum was north of here, actually. Kevin Bong, wasn't he the person who's now partyless? I don't know, I might be speaking about the wrong guy, but I think there was pressure for him to step down. And I don't think you'll ever catch anyone saying Bathurst is a pretty looking street. Of all the major north-south downtown streets, it's probably the ugliest. So there would be Bathurst and Spadina, University, Bay. Yeah, I think it takes that crown quite easily. And here's Alexandra Park itself on the right. And earlier in the pandemic, this entire space was one large encampment. Here in the nearby Trinity Bellwoods Park were like that. And then the city cleared them out. So I remember walking through here on a rather cold day, and there were some outreach workers delivering hot soup to all the people here. And they actually offered me some. Throughout this ordeal, I think those are some real heroes. And here we have a couple of outdoor skating surfaces. When it's not frozen over, this area is popular amongst skateboarders. And there's the Quay Buddhist Temple. someone doing some figure skating moves over on that end. Here's a better look at this plane surface. And coming up is Dundas Street West. If you're wondering, what does a walk tuber wear on a day where it's -7 but feels like -14? The answer is, whatever I feel like. I've just got a hat on, my thicker coat, if you could call it that, a hoodie, and a long sleeve t-shirt underneath that. And my Uniqlo windproof pants, and just my regular running shoes. And the shoes are breathable, but my feet aren't that cold. And heading in that direction, we'll take you through Chinatown. And there seems to be no lineup at that COVID testing center. Given the insane demand for PCR tests, I would imagine it must not be in use right now. And here's the Toronto Western Hospital. So now the neighborhood on the right is part of Kensington Market. There's the Sprott Department of Surgery. And unfortunately, all elective surgeries are on hold right now. I was reading a rather heartbreaking article about a girl who has stage 4 colon cancer, and she's only 30 years old. And she was scheduled for surgery a couple of times, and they've both been bumped, and now it's indefinitely on hold. So why that is considered an elective surgery, where if she doesn't get it, it's pretty much going to be the worst case scenario, I don't know. But there's got to be countless people like that in the province right now. There's a look back at the hospital. And there's where Cromer Radio used to be. And Walmart had plans to build a large urban format store in this spot. And the Kensington Market BIA and neighborhood associations fought it tooth and nail. And I think the city ended up putting in a square footage limit, effectively limiting Walmart's ability to open in that spot. And instead we got a discount food supermarket and a Winners and a bunch of other vendors as well. I think Reg Hart Cineforum was just up here on the right. There it is, Cineforum. I remember going there in the late 90s and seeing a banned cartoon film festival or film showing. And we're approaching College Street. This is the backside of Sneaky D's. And this is a neighborhood institution. It's a bar and live music venue. Known for its nachos primarily, at least amongst my circle of friends. Got a cafe operating out of the front. And rumor has it that building is actually to be redeveloped. And Sneaky D's will have to find a new home or relocate. That's the same thing. Find a new home or close down. I'll blame the brain misfires on the weather. And just to the west of here, is Little Italy. And just west of that, you'll be in Little Portugal. So from here to Bloor will be mostly residential. And the area to the right is known as Harvard Village, sometimes called the South Annex. Or at least north of Harvard Street it would be. We're not there yet. And there's the King Edward Public School. those towers you can see under construction up ahead are pretty much at our final destination. That's right at Bathurst and Bloor. And those are where Honest Ed's used to be. I almost said King Ed's. There's the St. Moses and St. Catherine Coptic Orthodox Church. I remember writing exams at a Coptic center once in Mississauga. A lot of these homes have been chopped up into different rooms for rent, as the University of Toronto is just to the east of here. And this is Ulster Street coming up. And just on the north side of Harvard Street here will be Central Tech. And that's a large school that's been around since 1913. They have filmed, I think, Good Will Hunting, Flashpoint, and one of the Resident Evil movies there, along with Class of 1984 and Silent Hill. They've got the plane surface domed off, so you're not going to get much of a view of Central Tech. So maybe I'll just cross over to the west side of Bathurst. There's a look east along Harvard Street. Since there's not a whole lot to look at from this side, there's what the view is of Central Tech, which will be welcoming students back to class on Monday, much to the applause of parents all over. And here is Herrick Street. This neighborhood, just in front of where the camera is known as Mirvish Village, named after Ed Mirvish, who's the owner of the Honest Ed store. And his family ran it, and I think as a business it was just no longer feasible. I was about to point out that he dropped his glove, but he seemed to notice. And here's an old church that's been turned into a theater. I think that's the Annex Theater. Even though technically the Annex is on the east of Bathurst Street. But I guess Koreatown Theater didn't quite have the same ring. And the old Victory Cafe was located just a block to the west of here. Get out of the sidewalk, buddy. You've got a narrow sidewalk. A road there that's meant for bicyclists and cars, and the guy chooses to ride here. And these buildings are actually purpose-built rentals, although they'll be going at fair market rate, so you'd probably get them for about the same as you would get a condo for. Although you'd get to deal with a proper management company instead, so I think that would be a big bonus. But since the buildings are newer, you'll be at the mercy of whatever rent the landlord wants to raise it to. And here's Bloor Street West. And a look into Koreatown, which runs between here and Christie Street. And there's a look into the Annex neighborhood. And Bathurst continues north of here. But the streetcar ends, as I mentioned earlier, and you'd have to switch to the bus. And it's only been 45 minutes so far. I think Google suggested from Queens Quay and Bathurst, which is closer than where I started, up to here, it would be about 51 or 52 minutes. I actually started at Dundas Way. I tend to move a lot faster than what Google recommends or suggests it would take. Trying to get my mask on properly here. There we go. How's that look? Like I'm gonna go rob a bank. There's where you grab the streetcar. And I'm gonna head down to the eastbound platform. And thanks to this bakery here, this is easily one of the best smelling subway stations. And it looks like I might have just missed a subway train. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed this walk. Starting from Queens Quay, I almost said it wrong, heading north up Bathurst Street, up the western border of downtown, all the way to here at Bathurst Station. If you wish to support the channel, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership in the description. I have a merch store at strideswag.com, and I have an Instagram account. All right, thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.